Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Clouds. Thank you so much for joining me today. I figured I'd get a couple videos filmed today while I am feeling reasonably decent, even though I didn't sleep very well last night. That is part of the side effects of one of my new medications for my newly developed heart symptoms. But anyways, thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys are doing well. I know it has been a while since I have posted either on here and on my DIY channel, Pomchi Productions. So I appreciate you guys being patient with me as I continue to figure out what the heck my life is right now. I wanted to go over with you guys a very important topic, and that is the different pressures of having a condition that is invisible. It is very emotional. I don't know the word for it, but it's like almost like you have to prove to yourself that it's real because you can't prove to other people that it's real. So you kind of question yourself a little bit. And this is a very sensitive topic for me because I've really struggled with this most of my life. EDS is a condition that you're born with, and a lot of children who have it get labeled as attention seeking or accident prone or just things similar to that. And I very much fit that same experience. I am the youngest of 5 kids, and it was very much just seen as a call for attention and time. But I think that that's actually kind of comical now looking back because it didn't really give me any attention. It actually prevented people from giving me attention because having a child who's uncomfortable or who has a lot of pain or who wants somebody to acknowledge that what's going on is actually real and validated makes people and adults uncomfortable, apparently, and so they just kind of avoid the topic altogether and in turn kind of avoid you as a child. As a grown 25-year-old woman, I have those same feelings, one of like social anxiety or like a fear of being labeled as lazy or flaky or irresponsible, or the worst one is attention seeking by anybody who knows me and or who don't know me, strangers even. I have the fear that they're just going to think the wrong thing about me. And I mean, I know a lot of people are just like, well, just stop caring, like who cares what people think, but they treat you differently. And that's something that to me is kind of unacceptable because I can't change it. I can't change my pain. I can just not tell people about it, but that doesn't change it for me. That doesn't change my abilities. The fact that you don't know that I can't do certain things doesn't mean that I just can automatically do it because you don't know that I have this inability, And so there's still a lot of pressure and expectation on myself that I hold myself to. I don't want to say regular or normal expectations, but just higher expectations than what is reasonably or healthy expectations for myself and my current ability. I don't ever just brush off the fact that maybe one day I'll be able to do it, maybe one day I'll feel better, maybe one day I'll have a good day and this will be something on my can-do list, not my can't-do list, but today is not that day. And even though I'm anticipating it or I'm hopeful for it, I need to still live my life until then. And so that pressure on myself becomes a little bit more of a weight rather than a liberating feeling, because I know a lot of people who don't suffer with chronic illness are just like, well, you don't want to limit yourself. You don't want to say that you can't do those things. And I understand where they're coming from, I do, and I appreciate the intentions. However, coming from my perspective of, I spent 3.5, 4 years trying to get myself to do something, trying to get my body to do something that it just can't reasonably do. And then if I do have a day where I physically somehow was able to accomplish it, I regret it for weeks, months, maybe even a year, depending on what it was that I did. And I just can't continue to live that way. There is a lot in addition to that of like guilt for canceling plans with people, spending money on things to help, accommodate me, tools and aids and stuff like that, massage guns, uh, soft tissue stuff, medications, and on top of that, medical expenses like doctor's appointments. I mean, my husband he's got great genetics. That's all I'll say, is that he just doesn't really have many health conditions. He doesn't really have any health concerns, really. And then there's me, who makes up for both of us, basically. And so that does put on a lot of pressure on me and a lot of guilt for the fact that I have a lot of needs that aren't fun. And so because I have needs that aren't fun and those need to be fulfilled, the option for me to do things that I want to do is much less. Because while we already spent all this money on me, it's not because I chose to, but because we kind of have to. And so why would we spend money on things that I want when we've already spent all of it on things that I need, So there's a lot of guilt with that too. In addition to all of that, I am a person who has struggled with anxiety since I can remember. It's a very familiar feeling to me. And then there's the mixture of the anxiety seen by doctors, that they just use it as a label to solve all of your problems because it's just anxiety causing it. Just take a deep breath and you'll be fine. And I'm pretty sure that's why my heart condition went so many years undiagnosed. One, because my mom had SVT and she was just like, oh, well, it's probably SVT, and so we just went off of that. But I never really took that seriously because it didn't feel like it was serious. But then on top of that, if I did mention it to my doctors, they're like, oh, it's probably a panic attack. It's probably anxiety. And the frustrating thing for me, though, is that I've experienced those before. I've had anxiety since I have a usable recollection of living. And I know the difference between anxiety-induced health concerns versus a health concern that causes anxiety. I know the difference. And doctors just don't believe me, And that is incredibly frustrating because I have a very intimate relationship with anxiety. In addition to doctors not believing me, there's also the added anxiety from my body because I don't know what to expect from it every day. And for those of you who don't really suffer with anxiety, a lot of the feeling of anxiety is fear of the unknown. The best way I can explain anxiety to people who haven't really experienced it in full force is think of that time when you lost something really important, like your phone or a wallet or your child, and you can't do anything about it. You have to wait until tomorrow morning when the store opens. You have to wait until the police come. You have to wait. And it's that feeling of something terrible has just happened and it is getting worse while I'm sitting here doing nothing. That is the best way I can explain anxiety to people who don't have chronic anxiety. Because that feeling wells up inside of you and a lot of the time you don't know why. So, yeah, that's one of the pressures that I have experienced from having an invisible condition. And just kind of from the nature of growing up, I've had a very colorful childhood with a colorful family. And it has molded me as a person. And that's not to say that I would do any of it differently. I am very proud of who I have become as a person. But it has left me with a lot of wounds and scars and imperfections that I see make me unique and make me who I am and make me stronger. That doesn't make life easier, and that doesn't make life for people in my life easier. In actuality, it makes it quite difficult. And so, for those of you who don't have chronic illness and who are watching, but you know somebody who does have chronic illness, just having somebody who understands this aspect of our condition, that we don't want to have to explain everything to you. We don't want to have to tell you everything because then that equates that we're always talking about it. We're always complaining, we're always talking about it, we're dwelling on it, whatever. We're self-pitying, like that's how it's seen. However, when people can't just see it, we're just alone. And I think that's the worst part of a condition that can't be seen, is other people don't know when you need support and when you need encouragement. Because I'm not a person that will ask for a participation trophy, but I am a person who thrives from getting celebrated when I have overcome something that has always been a really heavy burden. If you can be that person for someone, I honestly think that you may change the course of their life and the way that they see themselves and their condition or disability or whatever they want to call it or whatever it is. Having an invisible condition makes us question ourselves and our value and worth as a person. I mean, even fully healthy, normal people feel like they can't always reach the expectations of others who place it on them. And turning that around to say, well, the expectations that they have are the same for them as it is for me, but I'm working with a completely different toolbox, you know? All that just makes it a little bit more personal, and I can accomplish something that so-and-so can, and it's because they see me as lazy or incompetent or stupid, and those are really hurtful labels that I may be putting on myself and they don't even consider, but that is the constant emotional battle that at least I go through with a condition that can't be seen, or conditions that can't be seen. I have a handful of different things that I deal with daily, and although I feel like they are inconvenient, I am grateful to have them because they do help me learn about other people, and they have opened up a huge community for me to really understand where people are coming from and understand their feelings. So I hope that this video has been educational for you. I hope that it may equip you with some knowledge and some confidence in either your own chronic illness management or helping a friend who has chronic illness. Because this is a topic that is very sensitive, it's embarrassing, it's emotional, because it's emotions. It's the emotions that come with having a condition that nobody sees, that you have to explain, because the nature of a condition that can't be seen means that it's either explained or not acknowledged. And if it's not acknowledged, that means that literally 2/3 of who I am as a person isn't acknowledged and isn't taken into consideration of what I can do. I'm not in a wheelchair, I'm not on crutches, I'm not in a walker yet. And just because I don't have visible aids in town doesn't mean that I don't go home and get an ice pack and a rice pack and a hot pad and, braces and a blanket, and go to sleep and wait to feel better. You just don't see it. It's not really the part of my life that I want to highlight, but it is an important part of my life because it's a majority of it. Thank you for coming and listening to me ramble today as I share my feelings about the pressures of invisible conditions and invisible illnesses. And I hope to see you guys next time. I will leave you guys with this as I always do. Pain is inevitable, but misery is always optional. I will see you guys next time. Bye!